I think it's starting. Thank you all for coming here for this video, and let me know if you guys can hear me all right in the chat room, and I'll just get started basically. So I'm going to read a post I did on my Facebook page, and just to start things off, because I know some of you guys aren't on Facebook. So let me see here. This is from October 15th. The Strong's word 6419, palal, is often translated as praying or prayed or sometimes interceded. The Spirit intercedes for us when we get under pressure from things we don't like. Romans 8:25-27. The Spirit then prays for the opposite, and we don't have to do a thing. So I've discussed that in the Abraham Hicks video, which is linked to in the description box below. Let's see here. Okay, so when we ask, God supplies. But according to the law of attraction, if we're still focused on not having it, it can't show up in our life because we're attracting the fact that we don't have it. Our vibe attracts our tribe, etc. Our vibration of saying we are without will attract circumstances where we are without. This is where faith comes in. If we can have faith that God already heard the prayer, we didn't even have to speak it out loud. We didn't have to even speak it or think it really, consciously. So if we can have faith that God already heard the prayer and He already answered it, we don't have to worry and can go on with our life believing He already answered it and walk in faith. When we do walk in that kind of faith, we receive it. The law of attraction is found in the Bible if we just look for it. The word palal, though often translated as praying, is translated as imagined or expected in the story of Israel seeing Joseph after being saved through the drought. Believe says it's buffering. Are you guys having any other issues, or is it her internet connection? If it's mine, please let me know. Somebody else is here, maybe they're using the internet. So let me know if anybody else is having any issues. All right. The law of attraction is found in the Bible if we look for it. The word palal, though often translated as praying, is translated as imagined or expected in the story of Israel seeing Joseph after being saved through the drought. Genesis 48:11, Israel said to Joseph, I never expected to see your face again, and now God has allowed me to see your children too. In this video that I'm linking to below, the secrets of Hebrew letters and vowels, the mystery of Kabbalah and of the alphabet. Let's see here. In the video below, around the 6-minute mark, he starts talking about this. Our prayers are our imaginations or expectations. If you pray for someone to get healthy, but cannot imagine them healthy, your prayer is not going to work. They could still get healthy if they can imagine themselves getting better. But it wouldn't be because of your prayer, which might even hinder them a little if they agree with you that it's difficult to heal. Try refreshing your browser, Believe, and if anybody else is having any issues, please let me know in the chat. Let me see if she can't hear me. Sorry, I'm just waiting to see if anybody else was having any issues with the internet connection. Okay, Katrina says there's no issues there, so it might just be Believe's internet connection. All right. And I told her to refresh in the chat room. Okay, sorry about the interruptions. Okay, so if you pray for somebody to get healthy, but you can't really imagine in your mind that they're going to be healthy, your prayer is not going to work. They could still get healthy if they can imagine themselves better, but it wouldn't be because of your prayer, which might even hinder them a little if they agree with you that it is difficult to heal. The only way you can imagine them healthy is if you have a lot of faith that God can make them healthy. Jesus, or Yehoshua, had this kind of faith. We are to have that same faith that Jesus, or Yehoshua, had. We're supposed to have the faith of Jesus, Romans 3:22. To do greater things than he did, John 14:12. You may wonder if Israel/Jacob couldn't imagine getting back together, then his prayer didn't work. So if he couldn't imagine them getting back together, you might think that his prayer didn't work. So how did they reunite? But Joseph could imagine getting back together with his family. In fact, he probably spent a lot of time imagining it, especially when he got promoted from the Pharaoh. He really wanted to meet his family again. So that's why that prayer could have worked out for him, for Joseph, regardless of what his father could imagine or could not imagine. So basically, this Strong's word palal is seen as imagined or praying, so it is equating the idea of imagining a future outcome as being the way to pray. That is kind of the way the Bible talks about it. And Jesus talks about the same thing with the seed, the mustard seed, and being able to move mountains and everything. It's how much faith you have that your prayer can work wonders. And it's all about having that faith that it's already answered too. Pray as if it's already answered. Jesus was always saying, don't worry about things. And so I wanted to get into that a little bit here. So I just want to talk about the book from Michael Singer. Here it's The Surrender Experiment. And so I'll just read about Michael Singer from the Amazon page for him. Michael Singer is the author of the #1 New York Times bestseller, The Untethered Soul, and New York Times bestseller, The Surrender Experiment, which has been published worldwide. He had a deep inner awakening in 1971 while working on his doctorate in economics and went into seclusion to focus on yoga and meditation. In 1975, he founded Temple of the Universe, a now long-established yoga and meditation center where people of any religion or set of beliefs can come together to experience inner peace. So he's got like pictures of Jesus among all the other things there too. So it is including Christianity, although Christians would probably say it's the New World religion or something. But regardless of all that stuff, I think it's a wonderful idea to have people come together on their commonalities rather than differences. Hold on a second. Let's see here. So he founded the Temple of the Universe, a now long-established yoga and meditation center where people of any religion or set of beliefs can come together to experience inner peace. Okay. He is also the creator of a leading-edge software package that transformed the medical practice management industry and founding CEO of a billion-dollar public company whose achievements are archived in the Smithsonian Institution. So what I wanted to do is that he sort of bring this up is because he is, a founder of this billion-dollar company. And basically he did it by meditating and doing the surrender experiment. So that's what I want to talk about. So it's a really great book, and I haven't finished it yet, but you can check out the link in the description box below if you want to buy it on Amazon. But basically he was really just into meditation, and he didn't even want to finish his economics doctorate. And he decided that, what he calls, there's this voice in your head, that says like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, or this is what I should have said, or, all these different jabbering. Some people call it the monkey mind. Others might call it demons or whatever. But the thought is that you're just constantly thinking in your head about, things that you should have done or things that you should do, telling yourself, well, it was wrong to do that, or it's good to do this, I should do this, I must do that, and it just keeps talking and everything. And he didn't, once he realized that that was going on in his head, he realized he didn't want to be listening to that. He wanted, if you're in a conversation with somebody, you want to be listening to what they're saying, and you don't want to be thinking in your head, oh, I should do this or I should do that. But sometimes the mind just is like constantly thinking and not even paying attention to what you're supposed to be paying attention to. You're not in the present. Really, when you're in the present, then you're not thinking about the past, like worrying about the past, and you're not worrying about what's going to happen in the future. You're just in the present moment, and that's kind of just where you can just be. And I know John St. Julian talks about just being in the present, to love to see a sunset and not be thinking to your head, wow, that's a beautiful sunset. just to be in the present and not be thinking about all this other stuff like words and everything, to just experience. So Michael Singer, or Mickey, wanted to just experience. He didn't want to be constantly bombarded with these thoughts. Um, yeah, too many minds, or like I said, that somebody else was calling it the monkey mind and all that stuff. It's just chatter, 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 and it's not the real you, because you're aware that this stuff is going on, and you're like, why am I thinking about this, or why am I thinking about that, And it's, it's just something that happens when we are in these physical bodies, but the spiritual us, or, the connection to the higher self or whatever, is not going to be worried about the day-to-day, constant jibber jabber of that stuff in your head. And so, like I said, he wanted to stop that. And oftentimes it's those things that say, like, I'm afraid, I need to work because I'm afraid if I don't work, I'm not going to have money to pay for this or that or whatever in the future. So that's pretty much the basis. It's usually a fear-based thing. That's why they call it the monkey mind. It's like an animal mind, an animal nature type idea, rather than your higher self, the true you who is in the image of God, etc. So it's not like, it's just, you're not thinking clearly, basically. You're kind of all over the place with all these different thoughts. And it's just, I don't know. A lot of people go their day-to-day life and they hear this and they're just constantly kind of, I hate to say go with the flow, but they're kind of going with the flow of their track of mind. And that track of mind is usually, it's usually not very beneficial to you, because it is based in fear oftentimes, or worries of any sort. But usually worry is fear. So, it's just that worry, basically. And we're supposed to not be afraid. We're supposed to be able to just live our lives without having to constantly worry about things. That's what Jesus said. So so what I talk about is sometimes called New Age by people, but I think that there's definitely not many gods. There's just one creator. But I think what people did is they just sort of turned them into personalities. They kind of gave them a split personality, and then they think about these many gods as like, some people may think of them as many gods, and then some people think of them as personifications. Like, the Jews always said that Yahweh was one, but then they have his personification of wisdom, Asherah, like his wife, where God in his wisdom created us. So it's not that they believe in multiple gods, it's just that they, have personifications of wisdom and personifications of the Father, etc. It's not that there's many of them. Sorry, just checking out the chat. So back to this idea that he's just not wanting to be focused on all these worries and things like that. So oftentimes, people would come into his life and it could be an opportunity, right? Somebody could say, well, you should finish your doctorate. Well, that's an opportunity. Does he want to finish his doctorate? No, he doesn't, But, people come into your life and there's opportunities for you. And oftentimes we think, well, yeah, that'd be really nice, but, and then you go on and worry about, well, what will happen if this happens? And if I do that, I'll be afraid of speaking in public, or, if I do that, then I have to be very careful about this or that. And it's just, you keep thinking about, like, if I do this opportunity, then I'm going to be worried about this or that. And that's the monkey mind, or the voices in the head that are constantly like, saying you should be worried about this or that. But in reality, we're created in the image of God and can do whatever we want to do, in a positive way. But what we want to do, and this is what the Christians don't get, what we truly want to do as our higher self is everything good and pleasing that is God's will. Of course, I've talked about that in other things, but, if we're, I think we just need to relax and not be worried about these fears and stuff. And so that's what he did. So the surrender experiment is that he basically said that life, which I think he personifies as a female in here, and what we would call God or he, that life is guiding him to what he should be doing if you just let it. And so he was suggesting that if somebody comes into your life and is saying, you should do this, or an opportunity is popping up, then you just say, okay, that life is saying that's okay, that's what you're supposed to be doing. And in the movie Yes Man, which was starring Jim Carrey, I put a link below for that one too if you're interested in it, but the DVD on Amazon. But basically, Jim Carrey just goes to this motivational speaker who is saying that you should say yes to things when life throws them at your way. It's the same idea. And that everything will work out for the best if you just accept it, if you just surrender to what life is telling you to do. Of course, in my belief, you can call it life, but I would think it's like your higher self or your angel or your, father telling you what you should do. So however you want to see it, basically you'll find things and you'll feel something inside of you that says that you should probably do this, but you'll notice that your mind will say, oh, but this or but that. And you're supposed to learn to surrender to what opportunity is coming your way. Don't say but this or but that, because God will get you through it and it'll work out for your best. Basically, in Yes Man, the motivational speaker told Jim Carrey that, you're making a covenant with yourself. And I can see that even though they actually make fun of that and they say it's not true at the end of the movie and everything, that it's actually really true that, our higher self, or spirit or soul or whatever that's currently seated in heavenly places and knows everything, is guiding us. And if we go against it, that's when we feel bad. That's when we feel like fear, anger, worry, things like that. I talked about that in the Abraham Hicks video. But basically, when we kind of made a covenant with ourselves, that you're going to do what I tell you to do or else you're going to feel bad. And that's what happens in the movie because Jim Carrey believes it. And so he says he has to say yes to everything that comes his way. And when he says no to something, then bad things start to happen to him because he believes it. According to the law of attraction, if you believe that, negative things are going to happen to you if you say no to something, then negative things will happen to you when you say no to something. So anyway, that was in his mind because towards the end of the movie, he realizes, yeah, he can say no, etc. Sorry, I'm spoiling it if you really cared about that, but I'm trying to explain this from a Christian perspective rather than just a movie watching for the fun of it perspective. I don't really watch things just to relax for the most part. I'm usually paying attention for messages and learning all the time. I think we should be learning all the time. Anyway, so he is sort of making a covenant with himself, and that's how negative things started happening to him when he didn't say yes. So anyway, it's a very interesting idea. I think if we do say yes to the opportunities that come our way, then good things happen. And if we say no to the opportunities that are coming our way, then bad things happen. But you have to have some discernment. You can't just, say yes to everything that life throws your way. Oftentimes people will come to you and it's kind of like a opportunity to show your mastery of, like, if you were trying to quit smoking and somebody offered you a cigarette, you wouldn't just say yes because somebody offered you a cigarette. You'd be saying yes to just, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to show my mastery and not go smoking again. The covenant is with yourself or your higher self or your soul or your spirit or God who's living inside of you, however you want to see it. And you'll know if you're doing the right thing because of how you feel and what you're thinking. So how you feel, you should be excited to do things that you that you're saying yes to. If you're feeling wrong, bad, etc., then that's probably not the right thing for you to do. If you're feeling scared or worried, those are two things we're not supposed to be feeling, because God said everything is going to be okay. So if you're feeling mainly excited but worried about how things are going to work out, that's one of those situations where you don't want to listen to the monkey mind saying that you got to be worried about something. But like I said, this book, it's very interesting, because what happens is he ends up surrendering, and everything works out for him. Like I said, he became a founder of $1 billion industry, and he was just doing it by meditating and relaxing and just doing whatever he wanted to do, and he enjoyed it. Like, he put off taking his test for his doctorate, and he said, there's this one test he didn't even study for, and then somebody had said, well, you should take this test. So he said yes, but he hadn't studied for it. So he took down the study materials like one day before the exam, randomly opened it, read what was on there, closed it up, put it back, that sort of thing. Randomly opened it again, and he, another day, and he saw the same thing that he'd seen the day before, and he read it again, and then he goes in, and the 3 things that he'd studied, barely even doing anything, the rest of the time meditation, were the 3 essay questions he had on the test, and so he passed. So he didn't actually have to do really any work. He was just letting life go, and whatever it was. Anyways, it's just really cool. And in the movie Yes Man, the first thing is Jim Carrey is asked by a homeless man, can I have a ride, and can I use your cell phone? And so he says yes and yes and all that, and he ends up out of gas with no phone, and he ends up hiking, and then he meets this girl that he falls in love with. And so even though you could say it's a really bad thing that happened, that he got stuck without gas for the car and he had no way to call anybody, he met this girl that he fell in love with. So by saying yes to the things that life is coming at us with, you're kind of just letting awesome things happen to you, basically, is the very idea that I'm talking about. So how does this work from a Christian perspective, with law of attraction and all that stuff? And so I've talked about that with the Abraham Hicks video. Basically, we are brought into this world like children of God, without sin, etc. Then things happen, and we sin and fall away from our path, and then we are trying to get back to that being one with God idea. But through our life, we've run into things that we don't like. You meet mean people, you meet people who, mean people. You meet jobs you don't like, you feel bad about this. You don't like rainy days or something, you don't like snow, and then it snows, etc. You find things that you don't like. And then, according to the Abraham Hicks video I was talking about the other week or whatever, when you see things you don't like, basically, immediately you're praying for what you do like, because the spirit inside of us, it automatically prays for what we do want. Whenever we experience something we don't want, the equal or opposite or even greater maybe benefit stuff is put into the what we do want section, So what you don't want is over here, and what you do want is over here, and you run into things, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this, and every single time you're saying, I don't like this, even without thinking or questioning anything, even without speaking a prayer or thinking a prayer, automatically your spirit is interceding for you and putting that in your heavenly treasures, the kingdom inside of you, etc. And basically what's going on, sorry, can you hear me better? I know that there's always things that people worry about, but Jesus said not to worry about anything. So what you don't like is over here, and what you do want is over here. And every single time you see things that you don't like, then you're automatically putting the stuff that you do want over here. You're automatically praying for it. And basically, our life is all about us, for the most part. We're sort of resisting what we do want. What we do want is sitting in our heavenly treasures, the kingdom inside of us and everything, and we're not getting it because we keep focused on what we don't want over here. And we're resisting the heavenly treasures coming to us. So as we resist them, no matter how much God is shining his light on us, like, here's some blessings, because you asked for it, I gave it, but we're like saying, no, I don't want that. So we're resisting him. And so that's why Abraham Hicks talks about releasing resistance to the blessings that are coming to us, because we already prayed for it as we were growing up. You're like, I don't like this, and I don't like this, and I don't like this, and I don't like this. And then the Father is hearing your prayers. The Spirit's already interceding for you. And so they're already there, and we're not accepting it. We're resistant to what our Father wants for us and what we want for ourselves. Oftentimes we think we don't have enough money, so we're resisting having enough money by saying, I don't have enough money. We're attracting a situation where we don't have enough money. So we can't get what we want if we're stuck believing that we can't have it. And that's why Jesus said we had to have that faith. We have to believe that we're already getting it. So what I'm saying is that our Father is constantly trying to give us what we want because we prayed for it. Your whole life, if you felt you're poor, you don't have enough money to pay for your bills, you're always worried about having money to pay for your bills, then you've already prayed to have plenty of money so that you can pay for your bills and you don't have to worry about your bills. But by continually worrying about it, you're going to stay in a situation where you feel like you have to continually worry about it. When you let go of the worry, that's when the Father's blessings come to you and you'll have enough money to pay for your bills. Once you can believe that, you've already prayed for it, it's already answered, ask and you'll receive. If you realize it's already been answered, then just be thankful that it's already answered and don't worry about having your bills paid for. So the surrender experiment, saying yes to what our life is handing us, is basically just saying, I'm going to let go of my worry. I'm not going to care about this stuff. And that's when the blessings start coming to you from the Father, because you've been not letting it in for so long because of your worries, because of your fears. And I think that's basically what Jesus was trying to teach us. That's why he kept saying, don't worry about this. Why are you worried about food? Why are you worried about having a place to live? Why are you worried about having clothes? Why are you worried about all this stuff? The Father's going to provide it. So that's why I think it works. I think that what he calls life handing him opportunities to become a millionaire, etc., then that's what the Father is. It's basically letting in the answers to our prayers from the Father that we've all been saying our whole lives until this point. Every single day, every single time you find something you don't like, that is a prayer that's gone up to our Father. He's already heard it. He's already answered it. He's outside of time. And we just have to realize that it's already been answered. And I know that sometimes that's hard to believe. So, but it's just what I think, basically from my experience. I know I've been in situations where some people could be homeless, but they never do end up getting homeless. And so, and I did actually, I did. I mean, my house was foreclosed upon, but I ended up getting taken care of. So yeah, I guess you could say I've had a situation where I could be homeless, but I didn't believe that I would be. I mean, I had faith that I wouldn't be, and I had faith that everything would work out, and it did. So, you know, I know it's hard to understand sometimes. People get worried over things, and I understand that, but Jesus says not to worry at all. So I'm basically just sharing what he says to do, and why it works is just because of our faith. And if we are worried that we're going to get homeless, and if we're worried that we're going to get homeless, constantly thinking about it, according to the law of attraction, you can attract being homeless too. Um, so we have to change our minds and try to get into a state of mind where we believe that everything's going to work out okay, because the Father protects those who are following him. Life with expressions. It's funny, we were talking about the whole needing money issue. How do you know when you are not in worry? There's a feeling of peace, excitement. Yeah, maybe we need some affirmations to retrain our brains. I do. I think affirmations are very good. You have to do them with feeling, though. You can't just say, like, I have no need of money, when you feel like you need money, because what you're praying or thinking or sending out as a vibration into the world is your feeling. Greg Braden says the feeling is the prayer, you know? And so if you are affirming, I don't have to worry about my bills. I don't have to worry about my bills. But you feel like you do, then you feel like you're lying, and your vibration is you have to worry about your bills. So in some ways, affirmations are really great if you believe them, because when I do believe them and I'm saying them, then I feel it, and it's really helpful because your vibration, whatever you think about, snowballs. And so if I say, Father always takes care of me, I never have to worry about this, I never have to worry about this, and I never have to worry about this, and it just keeps snowballing, and then you'll think, your mind will bring up instances in which you don't have to worry about this, and you don't have to worry about that, and you're kind of bombarded with a bunch of things that, you know, you realize you don't have to worry about it. And so that's really good. But in some cases, if you say, I don't have to worry about this, I don't have to worry about this, except that your brain or your emotions or whatever, your heart frequency is just like, I'm worried, I'm worried, I'm worried, I'm worried, I'm worried. Why am I saying this? I'm worried. Then you're just going to bring out more worry thought processes. And so in those cases, it's really best to not think about them. And in those cases, it's best to think about something else that helps you to feel positive. So you don't want to be, you have to feel your emotions and realize, ask yourself, you know, think about what you're thinking about. So if you're thinking about something and it makes you feel uneasy, a negative emotion, angry, upset, fearful, etc., then don't think about that. Think about something that makes you feel happy, excited, full of love. You know, one thing I suggested to somebody else and it seemed to really work is to watch funny videos on YouTube. So if you're feeling very bad about this or that, then go watch some funny videos or watch a funny movie, you know, relax. I used to be against, you know, using your phone for those little app games because games are kind of like a waste of time. I was saying in the past. But now I realize that it actually helps you to release resistance if you are just sort of going through the game or whatever and you're not thinking about all those things that make you feel bad. You're releasing resistance to good things coming to you. So it actually can be very beneficial, and that's what I did that meditation video about, for releasing resistance and just not thinking. It really helps to just not think sometimes. So it's best to not focus on what you're worried about, focus on what you're angry about, etc. Don't think on things that make you feel bad. Think on things that make you feel good. And then as the more and more you feel good, better and better and better, then you can think on better and better things. Then you can get yourself into the affirmations, the things that you really want, and as long as you're in a good mood, that can be very helpful. And then everything will take care of it by itself. And I think that's kind of what Jesus was saying. Don't worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow will take care of it by itself, you know? Um, so I understand that some people are not there yet, and they think that this is just crazy talk. Putting your head in the sand and just not paying attention to reality. And I get that, but reality as it is right now is not, all you have is the present moment. Jesus said to not worry about things. We're not supposed to be worried about the past. We're supposed to be focused on the current stuff. What can we do right now? And there's really no reason to stay worried about things in the current present situation. Illusion is over saying that meditation is good, but your mind thinks too much. See, I used to say the exact same thing. But when I was listening to Abraham Hicks meditation, actually, I was finally able to quiet my mind. And then I realized what everybody was talking about, and that was really good. So I did make a meditation video on my channel, which I think is more, Christian related, in case anybody wants to watch that. I think that might help. Yeah, we're not, your mind is where you have control. I talked about that a little bit on my I'm No Longer a Slave article on my website on lothealing.com. And when you say you're no longer a slave, it's because, a lot of people are slaves to worry, slaves to, money, slaves to this, slaves to that, because they're just thinking that that stuff controls them. But really, your mind is what is controlling your life. And so if you can focus, shift your mind from negative thought patterns into positive thought patterns, as I said, don't think about the things that make you feel bad, think about the things that make you feel good, then you will realize that you really do have a lot of control over your life, and you can make your life a lot better. And then you're no longer a slave to everything that was making you feel bad. We have control over what emotions we're feeling. And I know I've been in bad situations before where, I could spend a lot of time depressed and crying and upset. And I realized in that moment in time, there was really no reason for me to do that. I mean, the situation happened. It happened. That was the reality. And I couldn't make it not happen if I was in a bad mood. But being in a good mood actually can help you get better situations. So choosing to be in a bad mood is just hurting yourself. And choosing to be in a good mood is just you loving yourself and loving God, because you can't really do much for others when you're in a bad mood. But when you're in a good mood, you can help people. And that's why we should always try to be focused on being in a good mood for ourselves and others. And, if you're overstressed, take time to relax. And that was one of the weirdest things that Abraham Hicks does say, is if you want to be able to be in a job where you can make money and not be stressed out about things, then you have to currently not be stressed out about things. And that, to hear that, the advice was to relax. Actually, take time to watch a movie, or take time to read a book, take time to take care of yourself. And once you start doing that, then things will start working out for you, where you'll be in a situation where you can have enough money, but also be able to take care of yourself. And it sounds weird, but it's the vibration that you're giving out to the world. Is this, if you're stressed, you're going to continually feel stressed. If you're relaxed, you're going to continually feel relaxed no matter what happens. And that's where our power is, by us choosing how we're going to feel. And so anyway, that's what I basically wanted to say. And I have things that I don't like, but when I go through them, I'm not going to spend time negatively thinking about them. And so I realized just over the past month, my emotions have changed from worry into expectation of the better. And I think the meditation, I was doing the meditation every night. I do have a meditation video, as I said. So if you're interested in that, that's what I put it up there for, is you can listen to it at nighttime. Like, just listen to it. It's like 15 minutes or something before bed. And then you go to sleep. You know, you can just lay there and listen to it. We already asked God for money. We already asked God for that, because every single time that we feel like we don't have enough money, we ask for more so that we don't have to worry about paying our bills. So it's already happened, and we're just kind of resisting that. And I did a video on how those who are in covenant with God actually get treasures on earth, such as Joseph, who was the second-hand man to Pharaoh, and they kept throwing treasures at him because he did what God wanted him to do. And Jesus was the same thing as Joseph, but there's other people. Lot got very blessed for doing what God wanted him to do. So it's the same thing. And the story of Lot is interesting because it actually is sharing the same idea that Abraham talks about, where Lot had some negative things happen to him in his lifetime. He went without, children and dying and things like that. He went without his wife, and he went without, his money and all that stuff, and his friends. But every single thing that he went without, over here, he was without, he asked for the opposite. Like, the Spirit intercedes for him, so there's the opposite over here. And when he asked for the opposite, God provided. So he was very, he surrendered to God, as far as the surrender experiment, right? He just said, okay, whatever you want, God, we're going to go with this, right? And he didn't get upset, he didn't like curse God, etc. Everybody wanted to curse God. And what happened when he released his resistance to the end result, he got everything that he wanted. He got even more than what he originally had. So he went without money. Immediately the Spirit intercedes and he wants money, etc. And he got what he wanted as he was following God. So the book of Job actually says this in a different perspective. And I have talked about in the past that the early followers of Jesus, Yehoshua, in the Nazarene Acts and things like that, sort of talk about the law of attraction, I think, where he says a certain harmony in the world. And so I discussed that on my article on my website. And so you can find the law of attraction and the faith and everything in the Bible. Just, you have to have faith, and by your faith, you're saved. So if you don't have faith that you're going to have enough money to cover your bills, then you're not going to have enough money to cover your bills, or you're going to be worried about it constantly. But if you have faith that you're going to have enough money to cover your bills, then that's what comes to you. By your faith, you're saved. So it's found all throughout the Bible that we don't have to worry about things, as long as we have faith that God is providing for that. If we've asked, then we'll receive. So I guess I'll go through the chat and look at some of the stuff in there, but I hope you guys enjoyed that video there, just looking to see how long it's been. Okay, 44 minutes. If you guys have any questions or comments or thoughts or anything, I do understand that this is hard to believe sometimes, and that's really where our faith comes from. The more and more you do it, I guess I would just say, if you don't believe this, take a break and try what I'm suggesting. What I'm suggesting is pay attention to your emotions. If what you're thinking is making you feel bad, worried, angry, or whatever, then you want to switch your emotions to something that is going to be more positive. And if you can focus on something that's going to be more positive, even just watching funny movies or funny videos, funny clips, looking at positive things where, oh, the animals are so cute, you know, etc. If you can think about positive things, how much you love somebody or how much you care for them, and what positive things you have at your job, you know, what is it helping you to learn and do and everything. If you can think about the positive in every situation and be grateful for those things, focus on the things that make you feel good and happy and wonderful. And if you just do that and try the meditation at night, I have that video, as I said, you know, meditate, go to bed, and then you'll see if you just try it for a little while as an experiment. That's what he did this as, the surrender experiment. Experiment. I'm saying that it'll help you feel better if you continually focus on trying things that make you feel better and not focusing on the things that make you feel bad. Because the law of attraction is real. I've talked about it. I think it's the way the world was built on. And that's why the Bible says, don't think on evil things, think on positive things. And I forget where that is, but the Bible also talks about how you're a new creation once you've been born again. So when you die to your old life, you're dying to those negative generational curses. And when you are born again, it's a new clean slate. So you don't have to worry about those. So I think I might have talked about that in my deliverance video. Everything in the past, you're rejecting everything from the past. And so any curses from the past are not going to affect you in the future because you're born again. So Father will lead everybody to the way they want to go. You can pray, and you don't have to not pray. You can pray for him to guide you to what is best for you. And honestly, if you're listening to me, then Father was probably guiding you to this video specifically. So I would suggest, even if you're worried, to let go of worry and take a leap of faith and start focusing on the positive, and start meditating. As far as just listening to stuff, I suggest my video, but if you need to listen to something else that makes you feel good and meditate, that's fine. And just do it for a few days, for a week, for a month, whatever. Experiment with it. And I believe it will get better the more you focus on the positive. It's really been great for me, and I felt like I was doing great before I started meditating this past month. So it really does help. I think everything is happening. It's kind of like leaps and bounds. The more it happens, it's kind of exponential. And the thing is, it's a leap of faith in the beginning. But once you get past that and you start to see that it's working, it's no longer really faith. You're just, faith as far as I'm not sure it's going to work anymore. But you start to realize that it does work. And then you realize, wow, I have control over this and I have control over that. And then you realize it's always going to work because that's how the world was built. And you realize that you're not going to be a slave to anything any longer because it's actually all there for you, and it's kind of mind-blowing. Well, I'm sorry if I made a generalization. I didn't realize I did that. I usually talk about mainstream Christians, yes, for things that many people do believe. I know not all Christians do, and I know people call me a Christian sometimes, and I don't ever say that everybody does this or everybody does that, because everybody is unique, for sure. Nobody is 100% the same as somebody else, so you can't really use labels in that way. And I even have videos about that, so I definitely don't want to be offending anybody by talking about that. So I'm sorry about that. Detoxing is really great. There's mental detoxing, which sometimes meditation actually helps with. There's spiritual detoxing, which, when you're stopping sinning, and then you get sort of led to situations to prove that you can master this sin. There's, physical detoxing, obviously. There's detoxing in so many different ways. Detoxing from eating meat in some ways was huge for people, because I know there's a lot of people out there who have stopped eating meat and then they had emotional detoxing to do. They had rage and issues with that because when they stopped eating meat, that stuff was sort of bubbling up inside of them. And so they're all interconnected, your spiritual, mental, and physical detoxification. It's kind of like a work in progress and they all sort of meld together. But it's definitely good to constantly focus on that. I drink probiotics like kombucha and things like that to battle the bad bacteria that we got from that. And I prayed to eat healthier foods, to like healthier foods, enjoy them. And Father has really blessed me with that, being able to find great foods and things like that. So that's why I always suggest to people, if you want to get healthy, just pray to be led to the healthier foods that you're going to enjoy personally. Everybody's different. And that's why I can't tell somebody, oh, just eat this because that you'll love it, You can't tell somebody what they should eat that they're going to love, that's going to be great for them. It's very particular. So I would always suggest to pray to be led to the healthier foods and, healthier exercises and whatever can make you feel good personally. And God answers. And as long as you have that faith, you'll see that stuff being given to you. So like I said, with the surrender experiment, every time we felt unhealthy, we placed a healthier us, in the heavenly kingdom or whatever, our prayers, etc. And the Father's trying to get us healthier, and we just have to be less resistant to his leading us for healthier things. So, if you're led in the store, maybe like, hey, maybe you should try this food. I used to be very resistant to eating things. I used to be eating only processed foods and all that. So I was led to things that I might like. And I released the resistance to eating different types of foods. And yeah, so that's why I'm saying everybody's different. And I Believe had said that there's specific foods. Not all foods are healthy for some people. So that's what I'm saying. You specifically have to pray for you personally, and God will provide that. So, and the same thing goes for, feeling relaxed, for being able to finally relax and not be worried about this or that. Whatever you're worried about, you have to understand that what you prayed for is already there for you. Your heavenly treasures are already there. Your prayer has already been answered, and just start to walk in faith that your prayer has already been answered. And that's why I've been focused on the law of attraction more on my channel, because I realize that is how prayers work. The feeling is the prayer, and if you can feel good and grateful, then you're going to bring more things in your life that you're feeling good and grateful about. And if you are stuck in worry, that's a negative prayer. It's like a praying for something you don't want, So we want to, so worrying about anything is like a prayer for something you don't want, because the feeling is the prayer, And so every time you feel an emotion, whatever you're thinking about, if it's a negative thing, you realize that you're praying for something you don't want. So that's why we want to get our feelings out of the worry and anger and negative place and have our feelings be in a positive situation, so that we can attract more of what we do want. And our Father, he answers the prayers. It's just we have to let those answers into our lives. And so we have to release resistance to what he's giving to us. And so I do suggest checking out the surrender experiment, and sort of just relaxing and letting things come to us. We don't have to struggle. It's not like we're not supposed to be in a state of constant struggle. That's what Jesus said. He just said to just take one day at a time and focus on positives. That might have been Paul who wrote focus on the positive things. You know, whatever is good, lovely, think on these things. I forget the quote exactly, but focus on the positives and focus on being grateful and thankful. And anything less than being grateful and thankful is kind of like being mad at God, you know, and that's not the way to get anything answered. It's not like he's holding back from us. He's constantly giving it to us. We're the ones who are resisting it, and that's what I've learned. And by finally going into this positive attitude, I realized that those things were always there and always being shown for us. And you don't even need the book, you know. It's it's just surrendering. And actually, there is a video which I don't have right now, but Michael Singer, the Surrender Experiment, if you type that into YouTube, he did an interview with somebody, and I'll get the link to the video, and I'll put it in the description box, but you can find it by searching for it, Michael Singer, the Surrender Experiment, and he discusses it with some people online in a video, so that's free on YouTube, and you might get more out of the video rather than the book if you wanted to. I mean, if that was what you were led to, you know. So, yeah, if you're angry at anybody, it's just going to keep you in an angry, vengeful state. If you're worried about anything, it's just going to keep you in a worried state. If you're thankful and happy, it's going to keep you in a thankful and happy state, and that's the best way to be. So that's why, you know, in the worst of moods, it's often really beneficial to go watch a video of cute animals, you know, having fun, and just being thankful for cute animal videos to make you happy, you know, when you're not feeling so great, or whatever, you know, floats your boat. If you're into cars, you know, just watch a video discussing cars, you know, and you can just throw yourself into that and, you know, read about things that are enjoyable and, you know, have fun. And that will help you to get into that state of being where you're having fun and happy and thankful and enjoying life. And when you enjoy life, it brings more opportunities for you to enjoy life, and you'll see those things more and more. And so I'm probably going to end this video here and there, but that's basically what we want to do, is focus our minds on positive thoughts, emotions, etc. If you see yourself getting negative, go watch something or do something that will get you into a higher state of emotion, more positive state of emotion, basically. And try to not focus on the negative thoughts, you know, thought patterns. You know, if you say, like, if I do this, the problems don't go away, you're sending the message for them not to go away. You can say, if I do this, you know, I'm feeling happy in the moment, in the present. Jesus says, be in the present. Don't think about tomorrow. Tomorrow's another day, etc. Just be in the present every single day, and that'll help a bit too. So thank you all for watching. I hope you all have a great week, great weekend, great week coming up. Thank you all for joining in. I hope this helped, and just let it germinate in your mind. And it's not going to happen like a flip of the switch, but if you do it, you know, every single day, the more and more and more you do it, the better and better it'll be. Thank you all for joining, and Shabbat Shalom.